You are overwhelmed with so much new things, and you're seeing, for me particularly, I'm seeing people maybe my age, but also people who are younger, and you do not know what to talk about.
Most of the time we have these presentations and you are standing in front and you have to say something, and then you realize that you're speaking some words someone spoke differently, like pronounced differently, and you're also pronouncing them but differently. Then it sounds a bit awkward.
I remember there was even a moment where some students had some, not like heated arguments, but just some arguments, more of back and forth about a certain topic. An exchange to say. And I was there and I was like, okay, this is happening,
When you go like outside the classroom, you may even fail to identify who a professor or a lecturer is. Sometimes you can bump into him in the bar, in the corridors, in the Strassenbahn, in the Mensa where we eat from, and you don't know that this person is a professor.
It was challenging for me to navigate the buildings. Of course, the buildings have numbers on them. I mean, letters, building A, B, C. Also, the rooms have numbers. But sometimes if you have a gap of 15 minutes to go to another lecture, you can find it hard to.
The lecturer will come and go through the slides, finishes, asks if there are any questions, and then the lecture is done. But then you have to go and read through that same PDF 2 or 3 or 4 times again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Off the Equator show. My name is Hamza, a student here in Austria, and my colleague
Isaac Neuwelt.
And today we have a very special episode. Sorry about that. Today we have a very special episode. We want to share the
European classroom experience.
Especially when you come here. If you've been studying we come from Uganda. If you've been studying from Uganda, Nigeria, or I don't know, Kenya, Pakistan, India, we have very different classroom environments and experiences. And when you come here, like in Germany, in Austria, or Switzerland, it is something different. And today, that's why we are making this episode, to share with you how our experience has been so far. Isaac, over to you.
Yeah, so definitely we want to share our shocks and maybe surprises, but also the way we've handled how to adjust in this entire environment. So we have a draft, a rough of some questions that we picked out that may be quite interesting to be answering for you. And then at the end of the day, you will have at least an understanding of how it is to study here in Austria or Germany.
I want to go first.
Please.
I want to go first so that you answer the first question, Isaac. All right, I want to make it so random that... Okay, so... I have got the first questions for you, Isaac.
Yeah.
And this is actually an interesting question. So it starts, on day 1, was making friends in class easy, awkward, or downright scary?
On day 1, making friends in class, I remember it wasn't easy, to be honest, because first of all, I was the only dark-skinned person, or maybe lesser from Africa, but also, of course, there are also other students from Africa who are from Tunisia, but definitely, we look different. And so you are overwhelmed with so much new things, and you're seeing, for me particularly, I'm seeing people maybe my age, but also people who are younger, and you do not know what to talk about. You do not know even whether they also, you knew they speak English because the course majorly in the beginning was in English. but you do not know what common grounds you can
Yeah.
talk about or things that you can discuss. So yeah, day one is a bit frightening, but at least I think what makes it a little better is that you already have a lot of things to make yourself busy, to occupy yourself.
Yeah.
So you don't realize the awkwardness or that you don't need to talk to people.
Just a little bit there. What do you mean by a lot of things to keep you busy?
A lot of things to keep you busy because just like the topic for today, the European classroom experience, you are seated differently. It's a relatively smaller classroom. And then you're having all these technology tools, platforms that you have to adjust to and log into and learn how to use.
Yeah, that was really a big challenge for me too.
Yes, and then you have this conflict between having to use a laptop or having to write. So you're conflicting what is best because you get PDFs from one of the study, like from one of the study platforms, Moodle, and then these PDFs are on the laptop, definitely. So whether you print them somewhere or you have them on the laptop, but then you have to write.
Yeah.
So this is what is keeping you all busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Back to our raffle.
So
I'm
go
nervous.
next.
I'm really nervous.
This is quite interesting.
Okay.
So on days you feel different because of accent, language, or skin.
Oh my God.
It helps you to stay confident.
Oh my God. I want to be extremely honest. I have never felt like my accent is just weird. I've never felt like I'm out of place because of how I speak or because of how my accent sounds. But I would say that when you are like in a group presentation and you have to like speak and just after the other person speaks, for example, with let me say an European accent and whatever, and you feel like when you start pronouncing words, you are sounding a bit different because you're pronouncing the same words like they pronounce. Like most of the time we have these presentations and you are standing in front and you have to say something, and then you realize that you're speaking some words someone spoke differently, like pronounced differently, and you're also pronouncing them but differently. Then it sounds a bit awkward.
I'm really envy you because I've had situations where I've had a discussion or talk with somebody and I speak some words and someone is having problems getting you like
to understand. Yes.
Yeah. And case in point, there's a specific example I can give. For example, for us in Uganda, if you say a bird,
yes,
normally the R is almost ignored because of mother tongue influence. We don't have so much R's in our local languages. And not all, but actually in the West, they have so much R that it is too much. And in the East or Central, the R is very, very blurred, close. Actually, it's pronounced as L almost. And then you're speaking, and someone is like, "Sorry,
what did you say?"
And they're thinking you're saying a bird, like sort of a bug. So I've had those a couple of times, and then I always have to remember that a bird, bird. So of course, like in a comic way, but it reminds me that we are from different part of the world, and this is something that is happening. But anyway, I envy you. But
but the question is, are there moments where your friends find it hard to understand how you pronounce certain words? Certainly, yes. I have had several those moments where friends are like, "What did you say? What did you say?" I have one of my friend. He's called Alvin, and most of the time we have lunch together. He's Austrian, and sometimes we have a conversation and we are deep in the conversation, so exciting. And then I speak a word and he's like, "What did you say? What did you say?" And then I have to repeat the same word, but he still doesn't understand. And then he said, "Oh, you mean this word?"
But that's a fact, because you pronounce it different. It means you are different. Yeah, I do not know how you look at it, but the fact that I pronounce some things differently, it's obvious that I'm different in a way, and that helps me to understand. Yeah, I am different. So how do I make it understandable for this person?
Yeah.
Then I speak it the way they would get it, and that understanding, or that acceptance of this difference then helps you to now always adjust.
Yeah.
For example, if I speak to you, you will get everything. If I speak to somebody, then I have to switch and say, okay, now I'm speaking to
Is
this person.
that something that happens like on a normal occasion, where you have to think about how you're going to pronounce the words?
For me, it does. Why? Because I had to come to terms with accepting that, yes, our pronunciation is different, because I've watched other things online, and then when I understood that, then it means when now I communicate to somebody who, maybe if it's American, then I have to pronounce things a different way. If it's a UK person or a German.
Interesting.
Yeah, for example, even in English, actually, if I'm speaking to a German person who is not so fluent in English, there is an English that you would speak that is very easy for them to understand.
Yeah, this I get. Yes, I get.
Exactly.
But also, now when we switch to the German part, do you realize that there are words that you have to speak when you are speaking German? Of course, we'll talk about speaking German in some other episode. You realize there's some words that you speak in German and you feel like you pronounce them so well, but the German-speaking people, they don't have an idea what you're saying. Is that also influenced by accent?
Yeah, I think it's one or two things. One could be the accent. The other could be that because the person sees you're different, they cannot assume that something they heard was what you meant. So they want to be sure that actually what you said is what you meant. Because, for example, if I know you're not a native English speaker and you say something where, if I was speaking to an English speaker, I would default put in the meaning, like autofill or autocorrect. But because I'm not certain that that's what you meant, for clarity, and then I just maybe repeat just to be sure.
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot because there are so many words in German that are very, very close to each other. And some I make fun of sometimes, like when someone says Blut. 3 words. One means when you're bleeding, another means when a flower blooming, and
another means when something is bad.
Yeah, another one was bit dense,
yes.
Blut, yes, like Blut. So for me, it gives me hard time. And up to now, I actually can't pronounce all those 3 things perfectly. But so the person would have to ask, do you mean like bleeding, blood, or blood? So that's what I talk about. But I think also here it also talks about the skin color or language.
What helps you to stay confident? To be honest, at my university, there is no, as of yet, a point where I felt like my skin color or my accent makes me feel in a certain way. But when you say what helps you to stay confident, this is hard even to express. How should I even say this? I find myself like I'm not really doubting myself in everyday situations, but that varies from one person to the other, depending on your life experiences and your experiences here as well in Austria. But that hasn't been a point in time as of yet where I feel not confident or uncomfortable because of my skin or because of how I speak. That's what I can say.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think for me, generally speaking, it happens sometimes. It's something that creeps up on you. So you're not feeling it every day, but once in a while you catch yourself in moments and asking, Am I good enough?
Are you speaking of the classroom experience right now, or it's the train experience, or
no,
public?
in the classroom experience? And for me, it came from the point of being, am I learning fast enough? You know, am I, getting things as fast as other people? Of course, I know that we all learn differently. Our brains are structured differently, but there's that aspect where you feel you're a bit maybe slow on some things. It's not everything. It's just some moments where you're having problems capturing a certain concept. And you see some people have gotten it easily, and then you ask yourself, something, But anyway, generally, but this confidence issues comes, being that you're surrounded with, yes, classroom experience is what we talk about, but also you get out of class sometimes. And everything, there's so many things that reminds you you're not from here, that you're different.
Outside classroom, it's a totally different thing.
And it comes with you in class. And then these things creep on you and they introduce a certain amount of insecurity in you. And then you're forced, or not, you have to find a way to move forward. How do you keep confident? So you remind yourself, I can contribute. I'm creative. I'm smart. I am, here on merit. So I guess that's what I was trying to, because the classroom is not isolated from everything. It's still become with that.
Exactly. Thank you, Isaac, for that contribution. Now it's your turn.
Fire away.
All right. Is it normal in your classes to ask questions, interrupt, or even challenge the lecturer?
This is part of things that you experience and you're like, this would be a lot of trouble, if it was in my home country, So yes, I found it that at my university, actually professors encourage and they welcome when students are asking questions. And I've seen that it has been a challenge for many of us. And by us, I mean like mostly because we are mostly an international group. I found that many people find it very hard to ask, it was especially in the beginning. And professors they look like they were not sure whether we're actually understanding the things they're teaching or not. And but then here and there, because we had like a group of about 5 or something German students, and you see the way they interact with students, you see the way they ask questions, and you saw how welcoming and how okay it was. I remember there was even a moment where some students had some, not like heated arguments, but just some arguments, more of back and forth about a certain topic. An exchange to say. And I was there and I was like, okay, this is happening, And and I'm busy comparing in my mind how it is there and how it would be, how worse it would get if it was back home. But ideally, it is very welcomed. It is not frowned upon. It's actually expected.
And a situation where there was like so-called challenging the professor.
It was still, you would see that the professor was looking for ways of explaining their point. It not like in an angry way, but it was just that the professor was justifying what they were talking about. Which is not very common, as the professor don't feel like they have to justify their points. They say something, you have to take it. If you start arguing, then they'll ask you, okay, so you're the professor and the students or what, But here there is that element of, if you've done your homework, if you have a point and you can defend it, the professor is going to be very happy to hear you bringing that intelligence and contributing it in class. And interestingly, that if they did not or were not very confident about a certain issue, they would even say, this one I'm not very conversant right now, but I'll just get back to you.
I've seen that. Thank you.
for
What really shocked me was not in a way to challenge the professor, but the professor challenges himself to try to learn also from the students. For me, this was a shock because there are situations where the professor asks a question and the student does answer the question, but then the professor is not aware of this specific concept. It may not be the correct answer, but the professor is curious to know what did really the student mean by saying this. And then he tries to ask a question, and then he says, okay, maybe this is a new concept for me. I have to read about that, and I get back to you and answer next week or next Monday. And then shockingly, next Monday, before the even lecture starts, he starts with that.
I mean, respect.
Shock for me.
Yeah. And this is something I really that amazes me. If they say they will send an email in the group or in the Moodle chat or whatever, they actually will send following up from the lecture in class. This is something that we're discussing about, so this is what I found.
Yeah.
Amazing. And it happened all the time. Okay, let us see what we have here for you. I do a really good shuffle. Okay, good. Question for you. How different is the way students talk to professors here compared to back home?
Here it's more a student like friend relationship. That's what I realized. There is no like, oh, the professor is up here, oh, I'm just a student, and you don't have to question what they say, or you don't have to, I don't know, because I've also seen how students enter and get out of the classroom. Sometimes students are using their phones in the lecture room, which would not be kind of acceptable where I come from, because the professor then would, I've seen these memes somewhere on TikTok where someone mimics her professor saying, okay, now that you're using your phone, you either get out or continue using your phone, or me, I get out and you guys have a good time. So like here, professors really don't really care. They just be there, do their job. And there is this student professor or lecturer friendship, or relationship. There is no like, this kind of, it is more like, it's more like a friendly kind of interactive environment for students with professors.
Yeah, similar to me, because we've started and it's called intercultural management. So where we see that, in Europe, most cultures like leadership hierarchies are flat. And so there is that element of, yes, you can always challenge your superiors in a way. What I found, maybe that you didn't mention, is that for as long, because the German language or whatever provides for this formal addressing people, for as long as you keep formal address with somebody, you can shout at each other, you can challenge each other, as long as you keep in the formal, Sie, Ihnen. That's what I found. So you find people speaking sharp, like really, but with formal approach, and it seems okay.
But I've also, did you realize that when you go like outside the classroom, you may even fail to identify who a professor or a lecturer is. Sometimes you can bump into him in the bar, in the corridors, in the Strassenbahn, in the Mensa where we eat from, and you don't know that this person is a professor. Contrary to where I come from, like the professor will have their dedicated room for meals, or somewhere their staff quarters, and it's like a no-go zone there. Like
and yet here you sit in the cafeteria with the professor, and you're actually talking normal about life and asking you everything, like, and you can interact freely, like you said, like friends. But of course, for us, everything is demarcated different. This is professor, and it's quite interesting.
Next. Are you ready for it?
Please, fire away.
In the first 2 to 3 weeks, what 3 small actions should a new international student take to fit in better?
So the first 2 to 3 weeks for a new international student. if I take it from my experience and some of my friends, in the first 2 to 3 weeks, you have to find your orientation to know where all the lecture rooms are. Because, for example, for our university, some I even put on a different campus where you have to walk about 5-6 minutes to reach there. It was challenging for me to navigate the buildings. Of course, the buildings have numbers on them. I mean, letters, building A, B, C. Also, the rooms have numbers. But sometimes if you have a gap of 15 minutes to go to another lecture, you can find it hard to. So that is important. Second is to know all the subject units you have to take. The third is to know where all the facilities are. For example, toilets. That was also not easy, because if you're in class and move out, you need to orient what is the nearest toilet around. Where is the cafeteria? What time do I need to go to cafeteria and it's not too packed? And those simple things that you need to find out. But also one that I noticed is, before even university, to calculate the time you need to travel from your accommodation to the university. Yeah, because there are fixed transportation means, but you need to calculate everything. Some are connected. So I found that was important for new students.
Yeah, for me also, when you talk about the time between one lecture room to the other, last semester I was into a situation where I've been going through all my lecturers. Not all my lectures were in this specific classroom, and for the exam, it was put in a totally different, like the classroom where they put the exam had a similar name with an extra number, like number 17, when the former classroom was 16. So when you read the name like Horsal 16 and the exam is going to be in Horsal 17, you may think that this is just the next door or the next classroom. Do you know what happened? I had to walk an extra 20 minutes to look for that classroom. It was in a totally different building, in a totally different direction. And guess what? I was late for the exam. Yeah, but the professor was so kind. I was like, just take a seat and whatever. So this actually when you mention that someone has to plan properly for how they are going to move and the connections, you don't want to be in a situation where you think that you have to actually check that it is correct what you are thinking.
And it's a common mistake. I'll be honest, I was a victim, because the universities have all these maps on the websites, the campus map, and seeing all the buildings where are, and some, for example, like some campuses are separated, and then they show everything. But because in your mind you're feeling smart, or I do not know, you think our Google Maps will do for you everything, and you fail to actually sit down and pin everything. This is building this, I'll have these lectures.
Exactly.
And you struggle. Okay, so question for you, my friend. Which study skill did you have to upgrade first? Was it presentations, group work, or writing? First of all, did you have to first upgrade anything, or?
I think everything. Because the way of studying here is completely different. The style of getting to understand new material, absorbing that material into your brain is kind of different, because I don't know, maybe because of my program, or I don't know. But I found myself that I have to read a lot. Like the university where I did my bachelor's before, the professor used to explain everything. He goes through like the PDFs, and then he's like giving this extra information or about, it's like more of, I don't know. But here the lecturer will come and go through the slides, finishes, asks if there are any questions, and then the lecture is done. But then you have to go and read through that same PDF 2 or 3 or 4 times again. These are PDFs like 20, 30, 40, 50 pages, depending on the lecture. to actually understand and to do further research about those topics, because most of these topics are new. So did I have to find myself upgrading my, I don't know, presentations,
group work, even writing?
Yes, all of them. Because, for example, for presentations, I realize here students have, they always have like small notes. So they go for a presentation and they have like these small cards.
Flashcards.
Yeah, flashcards, and they are like flipping them, and when they're making the presentation, like for guides. Where I come from, I remember they would actually not allow you to go with flashcards like that because everything has to be here. So, and also you don't have to focus reading what is on the slide. So you have to just move the slide, and then you have to talk about what is happening on the slide. And if you look like you are reading from the slide, then it's like not allowed. But here the students had this flashcard system, which I really loved a lot because it's allowed and you can use it. So it's not like the presentation, because even if the presentation is an exam, you can still use your flashcards to guide you through which way I come. That is kind of not acceptable. So I learned that and I loved it and I adopted it. And what else was that?
And so the presentations, the group work.
Yeah, for the group works, I tell you something. We had a group work last semester with all the colleagues, the student colleagues in my group were Austrians, and I was the only one who is foreign. And so we organized the first meeting, which was virtual on Zoom and Discord in this case, and we had to prepare do the group work together. But in my mind, I thought that the group work is the initial meeting of us meeting on this online call is to divide the work, and then we go back behind and everyone does their part and then bring together the parts together in like another Zoom. Guess what? We were doing the work together online in that time, in real time. And everyone was researching like, okay, this is the question. And then everyone is going somewhere and we are adding points and editing in. It was a shock for me. But after that, all the other group works, I wanted us to adopt the same thing because I realized it makes us actually work faster and accomplish work faster. There's nothing like, oh, we are waiting for another day to come back and review. We are doing it together there and then in real time, and it's done. And you forget about it.
Nice, interesting. And I think not in the contrary, but some like me, I also had to update almost everything, upgrade everything. Presentation, I realized that the culture here is more of a straightforward culture. We come from a culture where we're not like, let's say, high context culture. I mean, here is low context, high context. For us, we'll say something indirectly, but you understand what I mean. Here, you have to be explicitly clear. So meaning you have little time and you have a message you have to deliver. And that realization that, okay, people want you to go to the point every time was not easy to switch into, So that is something I had to learn. And so when you're preparing, you have to make sure you are hitting things directly. When it comes to group work, being that we're mixed group, sometimes we could easily adjust to each other. And knowing that also international student life here is in ways challenging for some, so you wouldn't be very strict to others when they can't really make it somewhere because circumstances are different. So we had that mutual respect for each other's hustle or difficulties. However, we're now at a certain point when we're doing group work with different courses that are predominantly having more German students, we had a lot of issues there. And I remember at some point, one of my friends almost fought with the group leader because he was using some really aggressive language. And for us, where we come from, when you use aggressive language with me, it means we are at war. Then we can as well just go to punching. But here people use, but it's still okay. Our writing definitely goes with presentation to be a bit more, even the professors would ask, if you're answering, please make your answers brief and straight to the point.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to read.
Yeah, I actually love this because here when the professors just love really brief answers, just go straight to the point and that's it. In Uganda, you have to,
you have to give an introduction, narrate examples. Here, it's all about, do you understand the concept? Exactly. And can you give an example, or can you just show that you know the concept? Even if you just wrote the keywords and give an example, that's finished. That's it.
Ready for it?
Please, by all.
What little things do you do to look more friendly and easy to talk to in class?
Little things. I do not know if it's little, but I think in my normal life, before I came here, yes, I'm a smiley person, sort of, but also when you're doing what you're doing like an entrepreneur, you don't have so many opportunities to smile, especially in Uganda. Stress. However, here what I found easy to help you fit in or to be approachable is having that smile on. The international students understand, but the Germans, to some, they are confused why you're smiling because they are not used to people being that happy. Like if we are talking and you're just smiling, there's a time someone mistakenly thought I was laughing at them or something was wrong with what I was saying. And this is where now it comes to your identity or you preserving your culture, because if you decide to fit in completely, then you're going to teach yourself how to not be you by not smiling. So that for me, I always had to explain why I'm smiling. I'm like, hey, I'm just smiling because I'm just I'm in a good mood or having a good time.
Have you been in situations where, this is just not another question, but I'm wondering where you feel like people are trying to avoid you or your fellow classmates are trying to avoid you and then you feel like you are in this space and you are just there alone. You are in a group, many people are there, but you are just in a space where you're just feeling alone.
I am trying to think of scenarios. I think for me, I kept a private, so there's a certain level of privacy I kept because, in the beginning, actually beginnings they were different because you have a lot of things you're still juggling from back home. And so you wouldn't mind or you wouldn't notice that people are either avoiding you or coming to you because you're in your laptop, you're trying to answer emails, trying to coordinate, plan things, trying to fit in here, but also take care of business there. But as time went on, you would see that, of course, people begin building their own cocoons, friends, groups of 3, groups of 2, maybe even more. But I wasn't very sensitive to realize whether people are avoiding me or not. In any case, but me, I knew like there's some people who are more closer to my type and others who are not. If those who are closer to my type didn't, maybe then I'll be like, hey, you, what's up? Yeah. And you? You smile too much, people wait away.
If we are to just respond to this, the little things to seem more friendly and easy to talk to in class. No, I just enjoy my space and my time. And if there are situations where I have to talk to someone or a friend or ask a question, because what I realize, students here are very approachable. Like if you are having something to ask them, they are always willing to talk to you, and it's not like you speak to someone and they behave like they have not heard you or they avoid you or they don't talk to you. That hasn't happened. But I have not tried to be friendly. I just try to be me. because I think naturally I am a person who enjoys to have I enjoy to have discussions with people. I enjoy to share with people. So I don't have to try so much to.
One small thing I actually forgot that I do. I noticed that when I was speaking to the German students, and you try to speak to them in German, that was something small, but for them it was very, very good. You'd see that you become more associable, to them, and the next time they would actually speak to you default in German, and then you'd realize that they want or they find it easier to speak to you because they know that yes, you would stick to English, but you're choosing to go in uncomfortable zone, so that for them they are comfortable. I noticed with actually two of them, and you find that so for me I found, to me it was small because I could speak in English with them, but you'd see how they warm up to you the next time.
I have a totally different experience with that. Because Isaac, I don't know whether we should talk about this, but we had a group work and I was this kind of person and I tried to attempt to, okay, let's do it in German if you guys, because they're all German speakers, and I was like, okay, let's just do it in German and do everything. My brother, I tell you what, I suffered because guys were speaking in dialect completely and they were having these slangs and they are laughing in the chats. Even when you copy this thing and put in the translator, nothing, it doesn't understand. So from there I was like, I have to think about it.
The question I would ask you is that a small thing? Because this is a discussion, this is group work. For me, these passive conversations in class, hey, servus, wie geht's dir? Wie war dein Wochenende? Stuff like that. But in a discussion, brother,
I tell you, oh my God.
You're signing up. So, my turn? Good. Lovely question I have here. Do you notice silent groups like locals versus internationals? And where did you find yourself?
Yeah, I've seen this. I will not call them like silent groups. I just think these people have a lot in common and a lot to share and a lot of history together. Like some probably have met themselves in previous courses, in the previous degree, in the previous schools.
Yeah.
So they know themselves by default. They have a lot to share. Same for international students. Like, and it's by default, international students just connect like this. Like we would have so much common discussions or stories or conversations with someone from Iran than someone from Austria or Germany. Like it's like we would talk about experiencing life here, language and challenges they are finding, and they are coming like we are sharing like the same challenges.
Yeah.
So I think these cocoons, or what you would call like small groups, come to so be because maybe of the same challenges and situations that you go through together, or experiences that you can share together. So I would not necessarily call them that, because you also find that I also have a cocoon which is for climbing, and this is not with international students, this is with locals here, and it's basically where you share common interests about something, and then you find yourself forming a small cocoon and you're having a good time together.
So where did you find yourself?
In both. It's just about interests.
So when I think about in our class, we had about 5 German students, and definitely they were in their group. An interesting thing was that in their group there was one international student who, actually one or two, who joined the group, and they were always, doing discussions together, doing outside activities together, visiting places and stuff. And then the rest of us were not like in one group, but they were always simple 1, 2, 3. Like more cultures that are closer, like what you mentioned, people who have more things in common. But on a general sense, it also what forced people to go into groups was things that were being out of university, either work or free time activities or stuff like that. Whether I was part of the local, I think for me, I never was part of any group, actually. I could easily go and have some discussions with the German groups. I did it like 2-3 times. And then I could have also individual discussions with other people. So, yeah, I think for me it was deliberate. I do not subscribe to a certain group.
Yeah. What I've realized that most students here, like from what I've seen, is that they give each other the space to actually express. And where disagreements are, they are very respectful disagreements.
When we came into the groups and some of the international students, colleagues were trying to contribute, this leader was sort of like downplaying all the contributions, like practically, and I do not know whether it's a personality thing.
The beauty about my university and many other universities here, that they have so many of these resources, like the e-library, the physical library, the internet, which is accessible all the time, 24-hour reading. So I feel like I've not felt left out at any single point in time because of these resources, because even the professors themselves, they're so available.
I adapted to the flexibility while answering, sort of asking questions to professors, because I noticed that it's not only welcomed, but it's encouraged, and it's also one way of letting the professor know how much you understood or in what way you understood what he said.
Some classes, the professors have given us the option either to come to the classroom or to be anywhere and study. And it reached a point where the students were coming to the lecture
became fewer and fewer.
And everyone was always on Zoom. And the professor was like, if next time I don't have this number of students, I am stopping.
So we're talking about the European classroom experience. And the question is,
Augena bugenzi kuchinyusi.